my YouTube channel. It's your girl Lucy here. So today we are going to talk about file handling in Python, and we will talk about how files usually read and how you can write and even how you can create a file in Python. So they are the most Python's useful skills, which are reading and writing files. So let's begin. So think of Python program like a chef. Like a chef, the file is a recipe book. To use it, the chef must open the book, and then they must read or write in it and even close it. So that's the absolute basics of file handling in Python. You must open the file, you must read the file or write in it and even close it. So in code we use the open function. So we use the open function to be able to read and even write and even append. So I'll just explain this and then I'll show you practically. So this open is an inbuilt Python function that is used in file handling. So we have you can either read, you can either write, and you can even append. That is adding a new text to the end of the page. So let's just take an example. So there is a safest way to open a file. So in this case you use with. So the moment you use with, it means you won't need to include close. So you just say with open, and then let's say you want to open a certain file, maybe my file.txt. And then let's say you want to open. So how do you literally open? You can either read, you can either use R, or you can use W for writing. So in this case, when you use with open, it means you won't close. You won't use the close function at the end of your file. So in this case, you'll just use here. You'll include as file. So that's how you use with open, which is the safest way to open a file. Actually is what is recommended. So let's take an example. So let's say we say with open, so remember in this case the reason as to why we are using text, it means it is a text message. So we have in file handling, we have also, you can use a CSV file, you can use a JSON, but in this case we are using text file. Okay, so let's say we are trying to read. So remember, the moment you finish here, you should use a colon. It is very key. And then now maybe probably let's put a comment there. So here's where you do your stuff. So you include whatever you want to include in that file, and then you read it. So that's how you use the with open function. In this case, you won't need to use the close. This one, the close. So there is this you can use. The moment you don't use with open, you use close, so that you close your file. But in this case, the safest way and the best recommended way is to use with open. So in this case, the file is automatically closed. Actually, I recommend you use with open, because it is one of the best way to read and write files. Okay, so how do you read a file? So let's say you have your content you want to read. Maybe we have some text here, or maybe we have a file and then we want to read it. So you have three ways of reading. You can either read it directly, you read the whole content. You can read line by line, which is called read lines. So you read line by line, and even you can read just one line in that file. So let's take an example. We have with open. So here we are trying to read our file. So let me put a comment to show what we are trying to do here. So you read. So in this case, when we are trying to read the whole file as just a big string. So what do we use there? Let's say we say content. We use it as our variable, and then we say file dot read. So the moment you use read, it means you're reading the whole content of the file. You're reading it as a string, and then now you print. So you print content. The moment you print this, it will read the whole string, the whole file. So that's where you use read. You read the read function, the read method, literally. Another way is reading line by line. So let's take an example you have with open. So let's put a comment here. We say we are trying to read all lines So in this case, we are just reading all lines to a list, meaning we are reading line by line. So which method do we use there? So you say, let's take an example. We say lines as our variable. We equate it to file dot so this is the method that we use. We use read lines to read all lines to a list, and then in that case now we can print lines. So that's another way of reading files or reading files. The last one on reading, you can say maybe probably you want to read to loop just through each line. So you're reading line by line. So what do you use there? So never forget to use as because it is what is used with. So in this case, So if you don't know looping, looping means just going through or repeating a line by line. So you're just repeating something multiple times. So in this case, what method do we use? So we use for. Okay, so in this case, let me just include a comment here. So strip. So in this case, you're trying to loop over through the file. So you just use the normal loop, which is for loop. So you loop over the file, and then you use strip, which will help you to remove the extra space or new lines that have been created. So that's all about how to read a file. So let's go to something else, which is how to write in a file. So if you have a file and you want to overwrite it or you want to write it, so literally writing, it creates or overwrites an old one. It overwrites an old file or it creates a new file. The moment you use W write, it will write a new file if you don't have any other file, or it will overwrite the old one. Yeah, so let's see how we can do this. So that's all about writing. In this case, it's just the same way you use with open. So let's say you have maybe a file which is called shopping list. So in this case, we use W to refer that we are trying to read. We are trying to read our file. So in this case, the method that we use is write. So we say file.write. So let's say we want to write something like, maybe we want to add something like milk. So milk, and then if we want to remove the white space, this or we want to go to the new another line, we use /n. So in this case, we are trying to add these two to our file. So typically, this is how you create. It will create a new file, and it will also overwrite if you have already a file which is called the shopping list. Here there is something we didn't include. So this is a shopping list text. Remember, we are dealing with text message, so never forget to include that. Okay, so what if we want to append? Append meaning it means just adding to the end of the existing file. So we want to add something to our existing file at the end. So what do we use? We use append. Let me show you. So you say with open. So we are trying to append to our file, which is shopping list. So in this case, we'll use a or a depending with your teacher. So it will mean appending. So we are trying to add to an existing file. We are trying to add at the end. So in this case, you still use write. So this one is added at the end or at the bottom of your file. So the moment you use append, it will tell your file or it will tell Python that I want this text or this message to be added at the end of your existing file. And then now from there you can print. Let's print your list is done. Yeah, so that's how you do it. So in this case, the moment we run it, we already don't have a file, but it will show us that our list is done. So typically that's how you write into a file. You can either write to a new file or you can overwrite to an existing one. So let's combine everything into a tiny program that logs a message to a file. So let's now do something practical here so that you see what we are trying to say. So in this case, we're trying to create a simple log system. So let's have our variable here. Let's tell the user to input something. Remember, input method is used to ask the user to type something. So let's say something like, what did you do today? Okay, so from there, now the user will input something, and then let's deal with what the user inputs. So in this case, let's open the message. So A will help us to save all the message. Okay, so now let's write, not wrote. So in this case, the moment let's print, let's say print So in this case, the moment we try to run our Python file, we will get that we have this text message that has been saved as a text message. So let's try to run this. We see. So in this case, we are told, what did you do today? Let's say you run, logged it. So if we try to see if we have this file in our file, let's see. So you can see here I have a text and it is saying run. So we've created a text file which is called mylog.txt, and it has already saved our first input. Let's say I add something like, okay, let me run it again. What did you do today? Let me say I reading, logged it. Let's try to see if it has saved reading. Amazing. So that's the power of file handling, and we've learned about how to read in a file, how to write in a file, and how also to append, or how to add a file. So, and that's it. You can now handle files in Python. Anyway, to recap, use with open as file to remember your models. That is R, W, and A, which is read, write, and append. And also use read to read the whole file as a string, and also write to write your new file, or even to overwrite already existing document or existing file. Anyway, if this helped, I really support, like the channel, and also tell me what to cover next, and let me know in the comments what you guys are doing. What is your journey in Python? And also please subscribe, so that you don't miss the next thing in our lesson. So thanks for watching. It's your girl Lucy. See you in the next one.